This podcast represents the opinions of Tyler Barber and his guests to the show. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for the medical advice of a licensed counselor or physician. The listener should consult with a mental health professional in any matters relating to their health or the health of a child. This is the Mayo Lab Podcast with Tyler Barber.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Mayo Lab. We are here today with Rob Dunnam, and he's going to be talking to us a little bit about what he does at the university. So how are you doing today?
Doing well, Tyler. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do around the university?
Well, I am a student success coach with the Center for Student Success and First Year Experience. Essentially, student success coaches are a program the university started about 4.5 years ago. I was not in that role at that time, but in spring of 21, the university had received some external grant funding to put this initiative in place. It was something they had talked about for years to be sort of not an academic advisor, not really a therapist or anything like that, but a position that allows students to come and sort of bounce ideas off someone. Maybe the student is having some personal challenges, some academic challenges, and to really find out about ways to get more plugged in at the university. Also, just learn more about how to be a better student, and so and ultimately graduate, which is what we want for everybody. So. Absolutely. That's what the university put that initiative forward, and there are currently 5 success coaches working with different parts of the college. But any student at the university is eligible to come see a success coach at any time.
That is awesome. That's a great thing that you guys are doing. So if I were to ask about, demographic-wise, what kind of students do you normally what kind of problems, at least, do the students come in with that you guys deal with?
Well, the majority of the students we see are upperclassmen because originally that was kind of our focus. You know, we have sort of people that work some with the first-year students, but we were primarily going to deal with upper-class students. A lot of them come with academic issues. Maybe it's time management. Maybe they are struggling in a particular class. Maybe they are a little uncertain about, I have this major, but I'm not 100% sure if this is really what I want to do. Maybe do some career exploration. Maybe just really kind of figure out maybe some ways to improve their study skills. A lot of times we find out that it goes beyond what's going on in the classroom. Students have told all of us, we talk about it amongst ourselves somewhat. We've heard a little bit of everything about what goes on inside and outside the classroom as well. And sometimes the outside stuff is really kind of what's impacting some of the classroom-related issues.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I got another question for you, I guess, about the position, but what would success look like from your frame?
Well, from my frame, success, I'm going to flip this back around. Success is whatever the student feels that success is to them. Now, the university, obviously, we want every student that's here to get a degree. That's our ultimate goal, is we brought you here, you're in school here, we need to try to get you through and get you a degree. That being said, some students, they come into the university or they come to us, maybe they are worried about their GPA. Some students maybe come to us, maybe they're having a little bit of disconnect from the social aspect of things. Some students are like, give me my 2.5 GPA and I'm more focused on the internship, the career that happens afterwards. Really, to me, success is whatever that student really, how they define it themselves, because no two people's situations are the same. And so the trick is when you talk with a student, really kind of find out what their goals are. Sometimes it's, okay, maybe this was your goal, but is it still your goal? And really see maybe how they've evolved since they've been in college. So on paper, we want every student, of course, to graduate. I'd love for everybody to. But in reality, what we find is we just want to help the student be the very best student that they can. And if they're maximizing their potential, that's success if you ask me.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you guys keep up with all the students? I'm sure you have a lot that come to you. So do you have a book that you keep all the notes in? Or?
Well, we have an assigned caseload, of course. And so in the administrative software that the university has, we are assigned to particular students, obviously, who've come to see us. If a student comes in fresh off the street that maybe we've never seen before, and maybe this isn't one of our targeted groups necessarily, but as I said, anyone can come in. We'll go ahead and tag ourselves in that student's record. Some students maybe only come to see us once. Some students come to see their success coach regularly. of the original grant that came about in spring of 21, 2 of those success coaches are still employed with the team, and they are sort of our lead, so to speak, of where we bounce questions off of, and they've seen some of the same students over multiple semesters. And so it really kind of varies, but we just try to really make ourselves available to whoever wants it. But then we do, of course, keep track with our appointments using our calendars so we can get back and say, hey, this is the value added that we have. So in fact, we did that a little earlier today, was turning our numbers that we've seen since the semester ended. Lower because summer, not as many people are around, but we do keep track using our calendar and using our software at the university.
Yeah, that's cool. And you mentioned this is a relatively new program. So have you gotten to the point that you've seen like a student from freshman like through? Or
I haven't, just because I haven't been in the role for as long.
Okay.
But there are students that, and I'm going to speak to our veteran success coaches, they have seen students that they've had basically for multiple semesters on.
Yeah.
And a lot of students, when they graduate, we make them available. If you've gone to see a success coach, we have a cord that you can wear with your commencement regalia.
Yeah.
And so they are there to certainly, we're all there to pass those out to students who have completed their degree, but also it's kind of a good way to kind of a good way to see students from start to finish.
Definitely.
My goal is that I'm going to see those students who I meet early on graduate within the next few years.
Definitely. That's awesome. You guys sound like the student's #1 fan. Like, honestly, that's a great thing. I would get into that. So my next question for you would be about kind of more about what the student was talking about, but have you had any run-ins with ADHD affecting a student's day-to-day life?
Certainly. So myself, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, anything along those lines. So I'm not necessarily, I'm not credentialed to identify a student as ADHD or even really make that suggestion to them. Really what you tend to notice is just kind of look for behavioral patterns, which can be challenging because students may only come to see us once or twice. Maybe they come to see us over the course of several months. So it can be a little difficult to diagnose or think of kind of in your head even at that moment, or let alone suggest it. But a lot of students with ADHD, maybe they found out when they were younger. Maybe it was something they noticed when they were in school. A teacher pointed it out or something. Of course, some students, maybe not. What I really try to look for, though, are these behaviors not just school related, but are they getting into other areas of your life? Just some common things are the students, do they have trouble communicating? Do they have trouble sleeping? Are they somebody who frequently loses their phone, their keys, their wallet? Are they do they start tasks at home and not finish them, like cleaning or laundry? So if I start to hear a little bit that this is something that isn't just necessarily school related, then my brain starts to turn a little bit. And at that point, it could be beneficial for me to say, hey, you may want to look into having a deeper conversation with someone, maybe at the counseling center, maybe also with your family as well, just kind of let them know what's going on. Obviously, we don't push that direction necessarily, but that's just what I've that's the approach I've taken before with students, and say, hey, you may want to think about this, and have you noticed any patterns that are consistent?
I like that from a supportive point of view. Like, you're not pushing, you're just, maybe want to get that checked out. I'm just joking. But my next question for you is actually going to be, I'm happy that you touched on like the difference between like college stressors and like actual like I guess ADHD symptoms, but I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac, so I would like to know like what normal college stressors would look like. And the reason I say that is because I have ADHD, and I was diagnosed probably a month before I graduated college. So I got through, but I don't know the difference between like a normal college stressor and ADHD symptoms.
Well, those ADHD symptoms that I mentioned earlier, just some of the things, those are things that are actually, a lot of people experience those from time to time. I think all of us have misplaced our keys or our phone before, or maybe have, forgotten something before. So I don't want anybody to hear that and think, oh my gosh, I have ADHD, because that's probably not the case. But consistent patterns are definitely something to look for, both inside and outside the classroom. Now, with related to being in college, obviously when you're a college student, you are under a lot of academic stress if you're doing things kind of the right way, so to speak. Students who go to class, they have a lot of tests, they have papers, and the semester, it's a long semester, but it goes by really fast, particularly when you're busy. And so what I tell students, or what I would tell a student is say, are the habits the difficulty you're having with class, is it carrying over into other aspects of your life? If it's just I don't like this class, insert blank, because it stresses me out. Well, maybe that's a challenging subject. Maybe you need a little bit of extra tutoring. Maybe you need some assistance. Maybe you should talk to the professor.
Yeah.
If I see this, maybe it's a class that's bothering you, or maybe, you've just got a lot going on at one time. You being a recent graduate know the tests, the projects, the papers, they all tend to have deadlines around the same time at different points in the semester. So I would tell a student just to kind of be cautious. Don't automatically jump to any assumptions, but just look to where maybe there are consistent patterns that you're seeing both related to school, but then also outside of school as well.
Yeah.
And as far as there's nothing wrong with, obviously being sort of vigilant and self-aware about your mental health and kind of maybe where you are. Don't want to overdiagnose somebody, but if these are things that you've experienced for months on end, maybe the semester's over. Right now we have a few weeks till our next classes start or we're on break. And you're still sort of feeling those same stressors and that same pressure, that could be a clue as well.
Yeah, definitely. My next question for you is actually more oriented, I guess, towards your job, but like when a student comes to you and they not necessarily are showing signs of ADHD, but they're just behind, what do you guys recommend for them? Like, how do you help a student that is behind?
Well, much like with success, I want to find out from that student what behind to them means.
Yeah.
The world we live in now, we all know it. We endlessly compare ourselves to everyone else. We see it every single day, whether it's from our career, our fashion, our socioeconomic status. We do nothing but compare ourselves to one another all the time.
Yeah.
So I want to find out what do you mean? What do you mean about being behind?
Yeah.
Try to find out what behind means to that particular student. And no two people's journeys are the same, as I said that earlier.
Yeah.
Really try to find out from the student what they're talking about, hone in on maybe why they're feeling behind. But then say, okay, you're not going to cross all these things off a list in one day.
Yeah.
Let's try to focus in on what we can correct and what we can work on right now. Try to set small goals for that particular student. Say, okay, what can you do today to maybe improve your situation? You probably aren't going to be able to read 8 chapters of a textbook in one night and learn all this new information for a test that's going to be in a couple days and be able to retain it all. But maybe what you can do is, hey, in this class, I have this small assignment that needs to be turned in by tomorrow morning. Maybe work on that one and then spend some time reading that textbook for that exam that's coming up. So try to focus on the small tasks and kind of keep going with the small wins.
Yeah.
I think those are really important for students to really kind of help them build self-confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't, climb Mount Everest. You didn't climb Mount Everest today, but you got these things accomplished and you knocked this off your list. And just try each day to see what it is that you can manage. Try to meet those goals, and then other things can fall into place once you start really once you start getting those small wins, they can tend to snowball a little bit. And so I think a lot of times students, maybe they feel behind. Maybe they're just kind of have a little bit of low self-confidence at that moment. Yeah. And they just need those wins to kind of say, hey, I really can do this.
Yeah. I'm very happy you touched on that. The conversation that I had with the student earlier, actually, she had ADHD as well, and she mentioned making small lists because it kind of felt like a hassle to do laundry. It was like it was already that was a hard enough job. And going to the gas station, she listed out. She said that most times a small list helps her, and then sometimes she'll like when she has to go get gas, she'll have to make a small list of get dressed, and then it just seems like a lot. But I like that you touched on small lists though, because it's really cool that you can build confidence with them, and also as an ADHD person myself, small lists really help me. But my next question for you is going to revolve around, I guess, social impact of these students and how much that can help them. How would you say that having a good circle around you that is supporting you helps these students?
Well, everybody needs people in their corner. Whether you have ADHD or not, everybody needs people in their corner whenever they're going through this college journey. And I think it's very important to have friends and peers socially that are around your age. Try to get at least friendly with a couple people in every one of your classes. Yeah. Maybe they don't have to be your best friend necessarily, but somebody that maybe you sit close to, or hey, I know this person, or I recognize them. They lived in my residence hall. They live in my sorority house. Just try to get to really sort of have a touch point in each one of your classes.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is really challenging for all students, not just students with ADHD, is that students sometimes think the professors or instructors don't really want to know them. I don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah.
I know some classes it's harder than others, but if you know for a fact I'm not great at this subject, this isn't my favorite thing, maybe try to connect with that instructor on some level. Maybe if they don't, maybe they have a graduate assistant who's helping with the class. If it's one of the larger classes, of which there are some with several hundred students in them, and the instructor probably doesn't have time to remember everybody's name. But try to really connect with at least some people in the class, possibly that instructor as well. I also think it's good for young people, to have mentors that are not necessarily their peers.
Yeah.
Maybe it can be a sibling. Maybe it could be somebody that is in a career that you aspire to. Maybe it's just someone that you've met along the way. Maybe it's a staff member at the university, whether it's a success coach, your academic advisor, somebody in another office, somebody with Residence Life, somebody with Greek Life. Everybody kind of needs those mentors to help kind of guide them, and because we are older. We've been down a lot of the same paths these students have been down. And so that's one of the things that has been kind of neat about my job is I'm old enough to where I've seen a lot of these things, but I'm still young enough to remember what it's like when you're that age and in that situation. And you think that nobody else has this problem. Well, if you bring this up to one of the success coaches, we pretty much have all heard this before. So try to build that team of people that are going to support you, be there for you, bounce ideas off of. Also, sometimes tell you what you don't maybe want to hear, or that are going to push you to do your very best.
Yeah, definitely. I like that you mentioned also maybe finding people that aren't necessarily in your circle too, because bias happens a lot.
Yes.
You know, it's really easy to get bias from family members and super close friends. So I like that you touched on like finding a mentor and maybe outside of your circle, because I think that helps a lot too. To kind of go with that, I talked to a student earlier this season, actually, kind of about what you were saying. And like we were talking about our grandparents and how we grew up, you know, trying to ignore, you know, any advice they were giving. And then now at this age, I'm like, maybe I should have listened to my granddad more. He seems to know some stuff. So that's really funny that you touched on that. And my next question for you is actually about, I guess, how you kind of get the students to advocate for themselves without, or maybe like kind of navigating the challenge of feeling different than their peers when it comes to advocating for yourself.
Well, ADHD is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And there's really, you know, it's just your brain works a different way. You kind of have to adjust to a sort of a different way about doing things, but it doesn't mean that you're any less of a student or that you're not any less capable of being successful, provided that you do the right things. So students, self-advocacy is important throughout your entire life, whether as a college student or not. And for college students, for some, this is kind of the first time that maybe mom or dad or whoever they're not necessarily coming to the school to check on you. And you have to learn to kind of speak up for yourself and really sort of say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm feeling, and try to sort of build your situation around what works best for you. If you simply don't understand something, then I encourage students, go to that professor's office hours, talk to somebody else in the class. If you are just really confused about, I don't know if this is my major, this isn't what I thought this is what I wanted to do, I don't think this is it anymore. Go talk to your advisor, go talk to a success coach, maybe go talk to career services. They offer, a lot of different offices on campus are willing to at least listen to students. And if we're not the most equipped to help that particular student, we'll be glad to put them in touch with somebody who can. So, but I think students really do have to sort of learn that we all want you to be successful. Early on, you know, I mentioned we want every student here to get a degree. Everybody at that university, by and large, wants the same thing. You're here, you're one of us. We don't want to lose you if we can help it. So we want to do what we can to keep you engaged and in the fold and progressing towards graduation. So we're a big school. We don't always know what everybody's going through. Unless a student self-identifies with me frequently, I don't know maybe what that student on the sidewalk is experiencing. But this is why, while you're a student here, we have these services. I encourage you to go utilize them. There isn't anything that a student will tell a professional at this university that we haven't heard from somebody else before.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's cool that you touched on that, because I think that it's very important to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, at least while you're in college. I think that is the biggest thing that college is supposed to teach you, is that it's okay to be uncomfortable. That's where the growth happens.
Absolutely. You said it better than I could have just now. So it's a lot of situations where there is a lot of tension. That's where a lot of growth tends to happen among people.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I kind of wanted to get what I was going to tie it with is repetition, and just doing it repetitively will kind of break that. It'll make it more comfortable for you. Like public speaking, I've had to public speak a lot more since I got this job.
Right.
And I'm not going to say it's second nature right now, but it's definitely easier than it was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Absolutely.
The more you do something, then the easier it's going to become.
Yeah.
That's just anything with life. A lot of young people, I've told people before, think back when you were first learning how to tie your shoes or something like that. You got better because of repetition, and, maybe you struggled with it. Maybe you weren't the best at it right away, but eventually the more you do it, the more accustomed you're going to get to it. And advocacy is part of that, as just as well as some of the study habits and, sort of habits about being a successful student are they're along the same lines.
Yeah, definitely. And my next question is actually tied to the repetition part, but as a success coach, how do you guys, whether they have ADHD or not, what is some general advice that you like to give to students to just help them be a better student?
The number one thing I will tell any student, and I think a lot of us are on the same page with this, number one for me, go to class. I don't care if it's boring. I don't care if it's a huge lecture section where the instructor may not even notice that you're there or not. Number one is go to class. Always, always go to class.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be times that maybe you are sick, and if you've already missed 3 times because you just overslept or you didn't feel like going, that just puts you even further behind.
Yeah.
I would also tell a student to just really turn things in on time. That sounds so basic, but I found, and it was really found right at post-COVID. I was in a different role with the center at that time. Students were just missing a lot of deadlines. And again, we had the pandemic going on. A lot of things were going on at that time, but
it was a weird time.
It was a very weird time. And it was a very hard time to be a student and be a young person in college or in high school. But meet your deadlines. Go to class, meet your deadlines. If you don't know something, then you need to ask it. You need to engage with that instructor during their office hours. Send those emails, ask those questions. If you know you're not a math person, you're taking a math class, get that math tutor or reach out for that help on day one.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the day before the first exam and say, I'm not really sure how to do this.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, reach out to somebody. Those are just some of the things that I would tell students. But don't be afraid to let people know really what's going on with you.
Yeah.
Maybe talk to somebody in your family. Maybe share with some of your friends. Say, I'm really having a hard time with this. People are a lot more empathetic when people are real with them.
Yes,
than
vulnerability
when
goes
they
a mile. Or miles.
Sir?
I said vulnerability.
Vulnerability. That's a great word. So people have a lot more empathy when people are very honest with them about what's going on. So just tell them what's happening.
Yeah.
And so those are just some of the basic steps that I'll tell any student. Obviously, every case is different, but go to class, stick to your deadlines, ask for the help when you need it. And this is really difficult. Don't put it off to the last minute. And I've done it myself. Sometimes it works out, but it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, it's not consistent.
No.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I'm a procrastinator myself, and it's been kind of difficult to work with. But once I was diagnosed with ADHD and I kind of had more solutions for it, it's helped a lot. So, but yeah, procrastinating is not consistent. I like that you touched on that. Well, thank you very much for being a guest on the podcast today. I've really enjoyed having you.
Oh, well, thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for listening to the Mayo Lab podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And until next time, keep the conversation going.